Today's presentation will be discussing some of the telephone switchboards that I have. I will not be providing super details on them. This is only kind of an overview. This is a Western Electric 557 answering service switchboard. These were very popular in the 70s and the 80s, and I've only been in operating answering services, never actually worked on any of these switchboards. And the largest one I saw had, I think, 6 of these in a lineup, and it was a fairly nice size answering service. One of the things about answering service switchboards is it appears that every single operator smoked a carton of cigarettes every shift, every day for 20 and 30 years. And generally, these switchboards are very, very smoke-filled, internal and external. You actually can take the tobacco and wipe it off with denatured alcohol and so forth, and it turns your towels or rags actually a gold color. Pretty disgusting, actually. I have a module that is out to show what they look like, and then I will show the switchboard with the module and the blank in. On the key shelf, we have one of the modules. That weighs about 25 pounds, and the nice thing about this switchboard, it was a modular concept, so they would add the modules as needed. I have the last module in, and then the blank on the top where the 5th module could plug in if I had that. This board was not equipped with that many cord circuits. Of course, being an answering service board, there wasn't that much of a need. Down on the lower left corner is some jacks for single line phones, such as the business office or whatever the answering service was. They could answer a trunk and then connect a call to a single line phone. This particular switchboard has had a touch-tone pad added. However, the original dial has gone bad. The one that was haywired in there was a non-Western dial, and the housing here, this unit's broken, but I think I have another one. I have not yet cleaned up this switchboard. It's pretty BTH, to be really honest with you. It's probably going to require about 20 hours of cleaning and work to make this thing presentable. Rear of the 557. Some of the components are interchangeable with a 556, as well as the terminal block at the bottom is very similar to what is found in a 556. So there would be a cable that would go to some 66 blocks somewhere else in the building. The DC power that runs this switchboard would be fed over the cable, as well as ringing generator, the trunks, and of course all of the lines that would appear on the jacks, the customer lines. On the top of the modules, the small round diameter plug-in modules used to have cold cathode tubes there, and these had been upgraded to a solid state device. Those are installed to prevent an operator from getting into the phone line and placing telephone calls, and also possibly listening in. I'm not 100% sure of that. Whenever a call came in to this telephone switchboard, it was like an extension of the person's home phone line or business line. It would ring at both locations, and either location could answer the call. If they answered the line here and took a message, then the user would have to call back and, of course, to retrieve the message. One of the downfalls of the way this switchboard was designed, in my opinion, is if a customer wanted the chance to answer the line before the answering service would have an audible ringing buzzer in the switchboard, and they would have to count the different rings before they would actually answer the line. So if you were on an in-progress phone call with one customer and then someone else is calling in on a different line, the original customer in the background would hear the buzzer buzzing as if it was like a telephone ringing, and they would have to count the rings and then put the first call on hold and plug in to answer the other call. This was a training issue that was fairly easily overcome. If I refurbish this board, then it'll look as close to new as possible. 555 PBX switchboard. This is a courtesy of Jim. The back side of the 555 switchboard. Another switchboard that I have, which will someday possibly be cleaned up and working, is a 608 switchboard. This particular one is, I believe, a Model D as in Delta, and it was used as the attendant position for a 701 or 740 PBX switching system. This is not a standalone switchboard, so for most applications, this would be useless. I do have all of the cover panels for the front, the rear, the top, and so forth, but they just have not yet been assembled. This is as I got it. Generally, I do not make videos of stuff that's this filthy. I usually clean it up first, but this is a year down the road project or more. Rear of the 608 switchboard are part of it. I do have the rest of the jacks that goes in here. I just have not put them in yet. I also do have all of the relay logic circuits, cord circuits they're called, that needs to be plugged back in. Another one of the switchboards I have not done much on is the Northern Electric 1200. This is a Magneto-only switchboard. A lot of the drops were stripped out of it, so I can only make a small percentage of this board work. This was in really nice shape when I got it, minus the parts being stripped out. I have two switchboards in front of us. On the left side is a Model 1800 Magneto switchboard. That's refurbished and fully operational, and it was involved in the making of my 100-year phone call. Over on the right side is a 551 PBX board. This is also a functional board that I have yet to make a video of. This is the predecessor to the 556 switchboard. The 556 was a modular technology. This is all hardwired, and it is also a functional switchboard. Due to the weight of the switchboards and the way I have them installed, it's not feasible to show the rear of the 551. This was one of the prize finds. Here's a Model 12 Western Electric local central office switchboard. This switchboard was only equipped when it left the factory as common battery lines. However, it did have the ability to have magneto lines connected, and I added one drop of magnetos to make the combination switchboard a true combination board. This was also shown in my 100-year phone call. This is a fully operational board. The back side of the number 12 switchboard. I'm very thankful to whoever removed this because they cut the cables between the positions and left the original Western switchboard cable on, and I just ran under that the few pairs I wanted for my demo. One other notable thing about the switchboard, all of the cords that was on this switchboard when I originally got it was faded and rotten. Through help of other collectors, I was able to acquire mostly new old stock cords to restore this switchboard back to the way it was when it left the factory. I have one of my phones off hook that is connected to the switchboard so you can see the light is illuminated. Here is a model 1801 Intercom switchboard. This would be used in schools and businesses as an intercommunicating system. It does not have any outside lines. However, there was provisions to add that if desired. My long-distance toll-only switchboard, a Western Electric 3CL. This is 2 positions. Normally, these came in one section of 3 positions and weighed about 1,500 pounds. This has been cut down to 2 positions, and about 130 to 140 of the jacks have been wired. This requires extensive equipment located in the central office to make this work. This switchboard has combination key sets on it that can send multi-frequency or DC key pulse. This was also involved in the 100-year phone call. Back of the 3CL switchboard. I've got it cluttered with a bunch of stuff, but that's what it is. I've spent probably 150 hours working on this switchboard. And then I have tie cables to my central office where the trunks and the calls originate from. One of the components of the 3CL switchboard. This is a DC to dial pulse sender. With all of this stuff set up in a central office environment, and that's what I have replicated, there's only 32 inches between the aisles of equipment, so it makes recording this with basic iPhones and so forth very difficult. These are the trunks for the 3CL switchboard. More of the trunks for the 3CL switchboard. These are what connect to the sender through some additional equipment. Where all of the wires are in the terminal strips, and then the relays below that, and then the relays here that's got the caps on it. Those were handmade outgoing MF trunks. The rear of the MF trunks that I had to build, we were unable to locate any actual ones made by Western Electric. There are 5 unique trunks here. These were made to connect to a telephone number in a step-by-step central office, and then appears a line circuit on a 3CL toll board. I will eventually hook these up and have world PSTN phone numbers assigned to it so you could call the operator at the 3CL board. I have an authentic, original telephone company Autochron time of day announcement system. And of course it has Jane Barbie on the messages and the time. The telephone switchboard operator will have access to this directly as a jack on the switchboard. I was fortunate enough to acquire one of those many years ago, not knowing what its purpose was. A quick view of some of the test boards that I have in my collection. We have a number 17 on the left, an 18 in the middle, and a number 24 on the right. This concludes the video.